Today I conclude a series of talks on purpose. On purpose, I will conclude the series of talks on purpose. So, we started out kind of defining purpose, right? There's more of something we align with. When our head and our heart connect, that is when we can find our purpose. And we talked about why it's important to even have or understand purpose, and really came to understand that it's really about stabilization, helping us to maybe respond differently to situations that, as I say, used to baffle us. And we talked about a couple weeks ago listening for it, right? And many times we expect it to find us like a flash of lightning. Most likely it's a whisper. Today, I want to close with the understanding that, if we're lucky enough to find our purpose, to understand that it is not a contract, right? That it breathes and it lives through us. And just as we change, so does our purpose. One of the most relieving aspects of Buddhism is impermanence. Absolutely everything changes. So why would purpose be such a rigid aspect? Reflecting back on where I thought my purpose was over the years, and when I was in my mid-20s, it was really about building something, becoming something. And then later it became more about mentoring people and helping in that regard. And now it's more really about, both of those things, but more simplifying, right? And just being content with what is. And the Buddha's, his life is a wonderful example of the shift of our purpose, right? He's in his exploration stage of his life, he became a seeker, right? Then he became an ascetic. Oh, this is the way. This is what I was meant to be. Oh, little did he know, he was becoming the awakened one, right? Then a teacher, community builder. So our purpose, whatever we feel it may be at this moment, is not a static entity, and it will change. So we live the question now. Right? Maybe purpose isn't a noun that we possess, but it's a verb that we enact, that we be. I love the image of a river, right? And just spending some time in Montana and watching some rivers flow, and just knowing, that rock up ahead is not a roadblock, it's just a detour to get to the other way. But we keep flowing. What causes our suffering? A lot of that's caused by our clinging to self, our self-identity, right? And the more we can allow the image of ourselves to flow, like that river going around those rocks, the looser, more comfortable we can be. Suzuki Roshi wrote, "Each of you is perfect the way you are. but you can use a little improvement. And purpose is that paradox, right? Knowing that we are already enough, yet we are continuing to become. And maybe that becoming, guided by compassion and guided by wisdom, maybe that's the purpose.